Before this video begins, I'd like to give a huge thanks to my channel members, who you can see on screen now. Become a member by hitting the join button and get your name here among other awards today. Hello there and welcome back to some more Silly Car Showdown. Today we are taking a look at the Volvo V60 Polestar. This car was requested by Angel aka Racer X NFS, and this is one that I've been actually looking forward to running for quite a while. Those of you who know me know I have a sincere love for all things Volvo, and the V60 Polestar is a really excellent car in my opinion. I would much rather have this over any BMW, Mercedes or Audi you could throw my way, with maybe the exception of maybe like a modern day V90 or an XC90 with the T8 hybrid engine. This one has the old school 6-cylinder. But even still, it is a fantastic car. It will not be keeping that 6-cylinder, however, as Angel has one specific engine lined up for it, and it is the 6.2 litre V8. More specifically, it is the AMG version of that engine. Same thing that we saw in the Golf, which went round recently. So that should be interesting. I'm going to supercharge this one, just for a little bit of a variation there. We are already up to a ridiculous launch stat, which is good to see. 275s on the front and 275s on the rear, which is very good. I do like having big tyre sizes. Yeah, it's big, it's all-wheel drive. It's probably destined for good things. That gearbox really made the launch stat go down, so I've got no idea what the ratios are like in that thing. We are going to want the brakes, of course. Lowering the suspension to make it look a little bit more purposeful. I will say, I previously had a Volvo 850 go around in the previous iteration of Silly Car Showdown back on Forza 7 with this livery. So I'm kind of hoping that car's bad luck, because that car gained the nickname NASCAR Nightmare for a reason. I'm kind of hoping this car does not bring that stigma along with it. It shouldn't do in theory, but seems to be climbing PI quite nicely. We are going to end up just touching into S2. S2 923, 924, 924 still. Are we going to get to... Oh, exactly the same PI as the Golf, interestingly enough. 1002 horsepower, 847 foot-pound torque, 3,162 pounds of weight, 2.6 seconds to 60, a top speed of 246 miles per hour. Probably the fastest Volvo ever, I would imagine. Yeah, those statistics are impressive. It turns out between sort of supercharging and turbocharging this engine, you're only really missing out on like 3 horsepower, so I guess it's probably more worthwhile to go for the supercharger for the more consistent power delivery. The question is, will more consistent power delivery help out the Volvo V60? I can see this car being very quick indeed. The question is, will it drive correctly? So, here we are at our Edinburgh course, ready to set 5 laps with our Volvo V60 V8 to see what time it can possibly set. Our current leader is the God tier Lotus Elise GC1, that's at a time of a 1:31.226. As much as it would be fantastic if the Volvo was to beat it, I highly doubt that is going to happen. That camera was the correct camera. Again, Vice City has sort of messed up my perspective on cameras recently. That was also a terrible first section there, as I was sort of trying to get my camera settings correct. Yeah, overall with the Volvo, I'm hoping it sort of goes around sort of Subaru Impreza Volvo, Subaru Impreza Ford Focus RS times, sort of somewhere in that 142 to 143 section would be nice. Interesting enough, exactly the same PI number as the R32 Golf, so it'd be interesting to see if this could beat that. I doubt it though. Especially in the way it's driving at the moment. There's quite a lot of weight on that front end, but we should... Ooh. Well, it certainly has straight line speed to rival the Golf. So yeah, the Golf and this are actually quite interesting parallels. It's interesting I've sort of done them in the same week. Same engine, same drivetrain. Ooh. That's... I need to stop hitting stuff. That's apparently my new thing. At the moment, I did that with the Hrama as well. Hopefully not going to ruin the Volvo's lap. But yeah, it's sort of a case of... It'll be interesting to see, because of course this car is more modern than the Golf, but it weighs more, I believe. I don't know. Again, it has been a slight while since I've built these cars up. I know I've been building a Volvo for something else lately, and that is a very light Volvo, but that's a story for another day. Or perhaps when this video's come out, you might have... Never mind. Anyways. Ooh, God, try not to hit into some of these tables. I will say straight away, not quite as nicely set up as the Golf in terms of gear ratios and stuff. Granted, it doesn't really matter when you've got 1005 horsepower, sort of, you know, not having correct gear ratios, because at the end of the day, you're gonna reach your peak torque pretty well, but yeah, perhaps not quite as sort of quick and robust as that. Also, I apologise if there's any background noise. I'm having to run a window open because England is unfortunately not like this at the moment. It's actually warm, which is strange. It probably also means it's going to be freezing cold in July, which I'm perfectly fine with. As we go around, it can actually take a surprising amount of quarter speed. It does feel a little bit V8 Impreza to me, in the sense that it's sort of not quite as good as maybe you'd want it to be, but it's still not bad. You know, the Golf had its insane speed. This hasn't quite got the speed of the Golf, but it definitely does feel a little bit like that V8 Impreza. You know, as I said, the front end does feel a little bit heavy. It does feel like this is a bit too much engine for this car, but it's still not bad. It's still perfectly drivable. It's actually quite nice. If you're used to understeer anyways, if you're one of these people who are like adamantly against understeer, you think it's the worst thing in the world. Oh, for fuck's sake. That was on for a quick time as well. That could have been sort of a 140-ish. But of course I'd end up going wide on those checkpoints. Occasionally I do, occasionally I don't. Granted, the Volvo has still got plenty of laps though, to see that right made, or to see that wrong made right. There we go. Not the other way around. As we destroy all of the public stuff here in Edinburgh. The worst bit is I could probably be quicker on that first section. I'm just so damn sort of paranoid about those weird bumps in the road like that coming up again around that bit, so I don't usually push the cars all that much through that first section just in case, because that can ruin a run if you get bounced up at the wrong up your run. So I usually try to avoid getting too excited through that first section. But yeah, it is surprisingly civil. I will give it that. It definitely feels it feels less challenging than the Golf. I will give it that. Again, not quite as quick, but certainly in terms of its sort of ability to move around the course, it feels quite mature. It feels kind of like the RS4 did in that regard. The RS4 wasn't too crazy. That was quite a respectable car to drive, and this certainly is much of the same as you'd sort of expect from a Swedish Volvo. Alright. Stop in time, please. You twat. I hate that braking zone in particular. I either feel like I'm going way too early or way too late on the brakes through there. Can never quite get that one matched up. 1:44.574, 2 more laps for the Volvo. This definitely has a quicker lap in it. Hopefully I can deliver on that and not cock something up. And that's exactly why I don't push it through that section particularly. It only takes one small manoeuvre around that sort of tight city street there to really come unglued. That being said, at that checkpoint we are up on the last lap, so not doing too bad. Little bit of understeer. It seems to be off-power understeer, which is interesting for a four-wheel drive car. Usually it's more sort of on-power stuff, but this does feel a little bit more off-power, which again sort of leads me more to a conclusion that it's something to do with that big hump of German V8 in the front more than anything to do with the car's actual limitations in terms of its handling stock. Because if I remember rightly, the V60 is actually quite a nice car to drive stock. Sort of understeers relatively well kept. Kind of does remind me of Subarus in that regard. I know I compare a lot of sort of mid-level four-wheel drive cars to Subarus in this game, but they're kind of the benchmark for how a mid-scale car should drive. Just about. Got stopped into there, not quite as nicely as I'd want to, but still not too bad. As we blast towards the finish line, once again it is going to go quicker, finally up to that lap time that we knew it had in it, of 1:41.2, but can we go any quicker? It feels like it could, because there was definitely some mistakes on that lap that I could rectify. The question is, will I be able to rectify said mistakes? Sort of ease off around here. That corner is one of the sort of disadvantages when you have four-wheel drive, is because I'm so worried about clipping that bridge because I've done it millions of times at this point. Yeah, I do tend to ease off quite a bit through that corner. Which might be a disadvantage to some cars, but it's it's less of a time loss to slow down for a potential crash than to have a crash. Is usually my line on it, but if I'm really pushing a car, I'll just throw all caution to the wind, and that's when big accidents happen. Which, if you sort of know me and know the way I drive, throwing caution to the wind is something I perhaps go to a little bit too abrasively, but nevertheless, that's what we do. Rear wipers going mad, hopefully in excitement for this being a quick run. That was a lot better. Oh yeah. Got that pretty much spot on. Go, 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 go. Ooh, 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 whoa. I don't know if that run was... That lap pretty much went about as perfectly as it could have gone. I do not think this car could have gone any quicker than that. That's actually way quicker than I was expecting it to. But being a Volvo, I am really not complaining at that. That is... yeah. Congratulations, Volvo V60. That is... a tremendous time from this car. Again, a little bit on the understeer side. Not quite as... I mean, it drives pretty much as you'd expect it to. But that time, man, that really is very impressive. Again, I really don't think this car has anything more to give beyond that time, but that is one hell of an impressive time. And it is impressive because that will put it into 8th place. It goes in between, and this is a weird one to say, the bloody brilliant BMW X5 V12 and the surprisingly sane MG Metro V8 R4, making this our fastest V8 so far. I don't know what's in the double doom, but our fastest engine sort of V8 certainly. Yeah, a really, really good time from the Volvo. I was not expecting that. It slightly beats out that R65 Golf, the RS4 V10, the V8 Focus RS, R33, the Impreza, the Alfa Romeo Stelvio. It's only, you know, 2 seconds down on the Lamborghini Aventus, which was a car which at one time was really sort of competing towards the top spot of our leaderboard. So, yeah, a really, really good lap from the Volvo. So there you go. Anyways, thank you all very much for watching this edition of Silly Car Showdown. As always, if you'd like to request cars for this series, you can do so down below in the comment section. Alternatively, you can go to the link down below, join my Discord, and post them in the request chat, which is where I'd prefer you to do it because it keeps everything nice and organised. And of course, there is sheets and stuff for what people have requested and what has gone round before. So there you go. Anyways, thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, farewell.